Hi, it's Robert Mitchell, the 2014 Toronto International Film Festival. We're here at Midnight Madness for the Canadian premiere of The Guest. Can you tell me a bit about The Guest?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically our follow-up to You're Next, and it's kind of us doing a movie where we're sort of paying homage to the masters that came before us. We wanted to do something that wasn't just based on one subgenre, which most of our other movies were. You know, we did A Horrible Way to Die, which is a serial killer film. You're Next, which was a home invasion movie, and with this one we wanted to do something that was more of an amalgamation of all these different subgenres and kind of do it one big mashup as kind of like a last hurrah for this kind of self-referential type of throwback type of thing, you know.
Hi.
I think, did we meet before, right? Yeah, I remember. I've been here before, yes.
Well, I guess my first question is, what was it like to work with Dan?
I mean, it was incredible. I'd watched Downton Abbey prior to working with him, and seeing his transformation was kind of incredible. I think kind of for everyone, just blown away.
I was wondering, so how did you come up with the idea for The Guest?
Oh, you know, it was a script that I started back in 2007, after I'd had like Dead Birds here, and it wasn't any good, and so I just kind of abandoned it after 30 pages. You know, it just wasn't really working out. It was like too serious. And then Adam kind of was like, you know, after we did You're Next, we kind of could do whatever we wanted, and that was a weird creative like block for us. We were like, you know, wait, what do we want to make? And we had a lot of false starts. That could be a very long story, but I'll make it short. But the gist of it, you know, was we kind of wanted to return to the films that inspired us to begin with, you know, the genre films of the 1980s. And I realized that, like, if I applied that sensibility to that concept, it kind of worked in a weird way, because I'd always liked the premise. I don't actually know how I came up with it to begin with. I've been told it's a lot like Shadow of a Doubt, which I haven't seen.
You shot it in New Mexico. Was that in the script, or was that something you decided upon later on?
Originally we'd actually thought of it as being more Pacific Northwest, and but when we started looking at the reality of finding a location, New Mexico had the best tax incentives, so we thought, well, let's go look here and keep an open mind. It actually ended up working great because we wanted to set the movie during Halloween, but our schedule had us shooting it during the summertime, which meant we needed somewhere where it kind of looked the same all year around. And it just so happened that the first place we looked at in New Mexico, they not only had a high school that we could shoot in and some great diner locations and a great house, but they also had a haunted house maze that was there all year round. So that was one of those things that it was like, we need all these things and they have it right here, and it just worked out really perfectly, and it kind of steered us in a new direction visually.
Can you tell me about the character you're playing in The Guest?
I was initially drawn to it because she kind of has this kick-ass role where you don't see often in scripts a strong female character, and I just kind of loved her story, and I don't want to give too much away, but what happens in the end, it was so much fun, and obviously so much fun to work off him, so yeah.
There's two things I've always wanted to ask you. You've been so prolific. Can you talk about your writing process? Is it something you do every day? And when you come across writer's block, which I'm sure you do, like anybody does, how do you overcome writer's block? I
have a really neurotic, like unhealthy writing process, and I wish I wrote every day. I read those Stephen King books where he talks about like getting up at like 6:30 a.m. and writing until 5, and I'm just like, man, that sounds really nice. I tend to really write at night. I go many days where I try to write and don't write anything. I'm constantly thinking of it, but I'm more just like stressed out that I'm not writing, and like puttering around on the internet and reading like books and watching bad movies and just like thinking that I should be writing. And then I finally like sat down to write, and then I tend to write very quickly, and I'll write like 18 hours a day for like a few days, and then I'll just crank out a script real quick. I would really like to change that process, but that's currently my process. You know, I don't outline anything. I never write treatments. I just kind of see where the stories go. So it's a little intense and weird, but it doesn't affect my life too much, I guess.
I was going to say, so like you had this film in your head, you and Simon have been working on it, he wrote it, and then so when you got there, I'm sure you had to change things around, but did it become like a character in the film?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, like I knew I wanted it to be set during Halloween, and you know, at the end of the day, when you think of movies that are Halloween films, they're always very fall-oriented, and they're always, in places with like the falling colored leaves, and you just think of the original Halloween, Illinois, and all that Middle America type of stuff. We just thought it'd be interesting to do a Halloween movie that's in the desert, because you just don't really see that very often, and just kind of added a new aesthetic.
Yeah.
And you shot this film in New Mexico?
We did, in the middle of nowhere, Moriarty. There wasn't much. There was a Taco Bell and a McDonald's for food, so we ate super healthy, which was good.
A lot of working out afterwards, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Had to. Definitely had to get back into shape.
And what was it like to work with Adam and Simon?
Incredible. I mean, they're such visionaries. They have such unique style, and to be a part of that was a dream. So yeah.
Did you do the guest before It Follows or after?
The guest was first, then It Follows. Yeah.
It's quite a journey.
It was very intense. Yeah.
Did you learn anything acting on the guest that you carried over into It Follows?
I mean, the fear aspect of it. Having to play up the fear was definitely fun, and working with these guys first, and then going on to It Follows was a pretty incredible experience. Yeah.
I might direct something more. I did a segment of VHS2, and that was some fun, but it was, so limited by the kind of style of those movies. I might do something eventually, but it would only kind of be if, like, Adam was, like, not available. I do like directing because I like shooting things and stuff, and I don't fully get to do that when I'm working with Adam, but in general I like working with Adam, and it kind of gives me everything I want creatively, and allows me to be twice as productive than I otherwise would be, because I can write a movie while he's editing one. So I suspect I will direct something probably in the next few years, like a feature, but it'll also be when like Adam's like busy, and then I'll go back to working with Adam after that. It's not like I'm like a writer who like wants to be a director. I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing. I just like directing also, and I think I'm okay at it.
Yeah, if the right thing comes along, for sure.
But I'm not as good as Adam.
But do you work on the set with him, or are you off the set?
I'm on the set. Actually, this is the first film that I wasn't the primary kind of like on the ground producer on. Our previous films I actually raised kind of the money for, and working with Keith Calder and Jess Calder on You're Next, but now Keith and Jess have taken over because they're really great, like genius producers, and I was able to kind of just hand that over to them and trust them, and so this was the first one that I was able to kind of be the writer on. And it was a great experience, so I never want to produce again. But I am on set. I'm involved in every stage of pre-production. I'm there when Adam's there, and I leave when Adam leaves. In terms of finding locations, casting, all that stuff, because I kind of need to be in case I need to change anything in the script.
That you can work in that fashion.
Well, previously I was the person hiring the crew and cast and finding the locations and negotiating the deals, and that was a miserable job, but it was also just the only way to get our films made. No one was putting us in that position, but now we have Keith and Jess, and we don't need to do that work anymore, which is a wonderful, kind of the most wonderful aspect of our success.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've just been able to take a more calm approach to filmmaking and think more, just all around be able to conceptualize things in a much more clear way, and that comes from experience, knowing what works. And more than anything, I feel like filmmaking a lot of times is about knowing what the potential problems that you're going to face are going to be, because everything always goes wrong, and you have to be ready to kind of roll with the punches, and I think that's kind of the name of the game.